Okay, so today I want to talk about something that's been very obvious if you follow fashion even a little bit. Why is every luxury brand suddenly so obsessed with India? And I don't mean in like a way that India is a growing market, India is an emerging market, that kind of a way. I mean very specifically, brands have been referencing India very directly, be it like Ralph Lauren to Prada. They're seeing India impact everywhere. Even like Louis Vuitton had their latest collection in India. And this doesn't feel like a coincidence, right? I mean, India is around every conversation, like from ambassadorships to manufacturing, it's everywhere. And it's happening all across the board. Dior, Chanel, Prada, Louis Vuitton. It's not just one brand experimenting, it's all of them. And luxury brands are not going to just sort of switch up for no reason. I mean, they have heritage, they have legacy, they have investors. And so I just like really wanted to break down what's actually driving this, because it's just not, like I said, it's not just because India is a growing market, because yes, we all know India is a growing market, but I think it's a very specific mix of money, digital behavior, culture, and honestly just a consumer that people didn't expect to be so aware and ready to consume and spend so much. So I mean, the first thing is that the market is small but the signals are like really big. So first, for context, India is still relatively a small luxury market globally. We're looking at around $15 billion by 2026, which is just under 1% of the global luxury market. So if you look at the size, it doesn't immediately explain the obsession, but India is growing at around 10% annually right now, which is significantly faster than most of the established luxury markets, because most of the established markets are in their like maturity or sort of their peak phase. India has insane growth. And then there's also the wealth angle to it. In 2024 alone, India added around 39,000 new millionaires, bringing the total to somewhere around 900,000, which is a very specific kind of consumer that's expanding quickly. And on top of that, projections say that 100 million new middle income households by 2023, 2030 are going to be added. So brands are not just reacting to what India is today, they're reacting to what India is going to become. And India has an insane population. So, I mean, they know that the consumers are there, and talking about the consumers have changed completely. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the Indian luxury consumer is not today who global brands were used to dealing with earlier. It's not just sort of legacy wealth in few cities or families, or just like a very classic old money crowd. A lot of new demand is coming from like younger buyers, dual income households, what people called Henrys, like high earners who are not rich yet. They're aspirational, they are very informed, they are current, they are cool. And most importantly, these people are not just in like the metro cities like Mumbai and Delhi, they are like all over India. They are in like tier 2 cities, they are like in Indore, Chennai, everywhere. And more than half of India's luxury demand is coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, which is a huge deal if you think about it, which means a consumer might even not have access to your physical store, but they're very much engaged with the brand, be it digitally or be it just through like photos or website or whatever. They're seeing it online, they're following global fashion, they understand brands and deciding where to spend. And also, in luxury in India isn't just always about products anyway. India is a very experience focused country. People are spending so much more on travel, like luxury dining, luxury events. Luxury cars are so big in India. Luxury watches, luxury cars are about to hit like $4.8 billion in 2025. They hit $4.8 billion in 2025. So, like, luxury, of course, is a lifestyle, and India is like getting ready for that lifestyle. Then we're talking about how everything is digital, right? Digital is basically everything, and everything is digital. And none of this, India won't work without a digital layer. India has around 900 million internet users, and more than 60% of them discover luxury online. So brands, of course, have to adapt. That's why you're seeing like India specific e-commerce websites. For example, Chanel launched its India website in 2024 that delivers to like 27,000 pin codes now. That's not just like about convenience, because they didn't like really need to do that. That's scaling, right? And when you're not limited by where your stores are, you can like really reach the masses, of course. And distribution in India has been set up so perfectly. Like, there's a dark store in every corner, there's delivery in every corner, there's e-commerce is connected the country so beautifully. It's very easy for brands to actually reach the consumer if they want to, and I think brands do want to. India's shopping market went from about $75 billion to $101 billion in just 1 year. So 2023 to 2024, it just jumped that much. So for luxury brands, being online in India is not optional anymore, because India is a very digital first country. Like, so much of our population is online. We had the whole internet revolution with the introduction of Geo, so we do have a lot of people there. And of course, luxury brands are of course also selling on e-commerce giants like Tata Click Luxury, Mintra, Nykaa. I have seen so many brands that I could just not even dream of shopping from like a couple of 4 5 years back, but now they're on these like e-commerce platforms, and it's insane the collection that they have. And I won't say that almost every luxury brand is on there. This is from coming from personal experience, but I do feel that a lot of brands are there. Like Bottega is there, and of course all the massy aspirational luxury brands like Michael Kors, Coach, everyone is there. I feel that we can definitely improve a bit more on getting like more newer stuff in stock. But I think just the visibility itself, considering it was zero and the way it's grown, it's really insane. And these e-commerce platforms are like really pushing their luxury subsection. So most of these brands have sort of like a general like general shopping and luxury shopping, then maybe like a Gen Z shopping or whatever. Luxury is definitely becoming the core part for these apps and e-commerce portals as well. So the point is that these brands have a very good distribution network. So the model right now is very clear. Physical retail, of course, is important, but digital is equally important in India. So now let's talk about why pricing and taxes are also forcing change. Something that people don't talk about enough is how difficult India is to actually operate as a market in. Luxury goods face high import tax duties everywhere. In many cases, you're looking at over like 20% basic customs duty plus additional surcharges and everything. Like luxury cars, it goes up to around 70%, plus there's 40% cess. And by the time a product reaches the consumer, the price can easily double in some cases. And that's why a lot of people actually prefer to buy like luxury goods abroad. Like even Indians, they'll just ask their family members to just bring something for them. Or sometimes it's even cheaper to just order it there and then get it FedExed to India. So I think that's a big problem. But instead of relying entirely on imposed, brands are looking at like local sourcing, local partnerships, and in some cases like local manufacturing, because producing in India helps them manage costs to like an insane level. They avoid like all the extreme duties. They also, it gives them like a different kind of positioning, like made in India starting to carry value, right? Because if you think about it, made in India didn't like really have that sort of luxury cachet up till now, and I don't think it still does, but I do think that the narrative around Indian craftsmanship and Indian artisans and craft is changing a lot. So I think hopefully in the future a made in India label might carry a bit more value than it used to. I'm not saying that it's going to compete with like a label like made in Italy or something, because of course most of these brands are coming from there, but I do feel that it might be a little better. Okay, so next is that retail is still limited in India. Like physical stores are very limited in India, so brands are adapting. We only have like a handful of luxury malls, like proper luxury malls. We have like three, like two in Mumbai, one in Delhi, and that's kind of sad. But that just means that brands don't have the same kind of retail expansion opportunities like they would in other markets. And India does have a shortage of like high streets and luxury lanes, which is why you see like a lot of alternative strategies like shop in shops, premium mall placements, a lot of pop-ups, franchisee partnerships with India groups. For example, Galleries Lafayette in Mumbai is being operated through Aditya Birla. There are like a lot of more luxury malls planned in, I think, Hyderabad, Gurgaon, Mumbai, of course. But those are like long-term developments. But I do think that brands are sort of finding ways to reach the consumer regardless, because obviously we can't wait for that. So I do feel that brands are definitely struggling. Like, and one more thing that is happening is like these cafe culture. So Tory Burch is just like, they had like a pop-up cafe in Delhi for like 2 weeks. Tory Burch is a big market for Delhi. Like if you go to Delhi, you'll see like every other sort of affluent person carrying like a Tory Burch bag. I think that's a very smart move that they did. Rihanna was just in India promoting her Fenty Beauty. Even though it's not like pure luxury, but definitely beauty luxury. It's not a cheap brand in India. So I do feel that brands are definitely finding ways. And Dior held their sort of women's wear cruise or pre-fall show in India. Vivienne Westwood had a show in India. And Louis Vuitton had their men's show in India. So I think definitely brands are trying to be more visible. And now let's get into the whole India inspired things that are popping up, like Ralph Lauren Chumkas, Ralph Lauren Bandhani print skirt. Of course, we all know the famous like Prada Cola Puri scandal. That was insane. I think, of course, Prada was definitely in the wrong there, but the way that it blew up was also like such a, it should have been a wake up call, like a cautionary tale for like a lot of luxury brands. But I don't know why it didn't happen. Like after the Prada scandal, I'm kind of shocked that Ralph Lauren thing is happening with the Bandhani skirt. I mean, this is what happens. Brands try to adapt for the market, but they lack that sort of cultural sensitivity and understanding that they just need. Like if you want to operate in such a massive market like India, where people are gonna have opinions. India is called the subcontinent because it's like countries within countries. So you first of all, pleasing everyone is, even Indian brands cannot please everyone. But for a luxury brand who for a Western luxury brand who has like such a specific branding, I think it's sort of they need like an Indian team to sort of guide them in the right direction. But I do feel these scandals are like really sort of creating a mess, and sort of I think just they are just scratching the surface of what India can be for the market. But I think it's really sad that brands are just not investing enough, and this is why people call it cultural appropriation, which it is. Of course, it is, because you're trying to capitalize on the aesthetic, but you don't want to give it credit or any sort of semblance of respect. And who in their right minds, no Indian person, I think, would buy a Ralph Lauren bandhani printed skirt, because you can just buy that for like 1,000 rupees in India, and that's like what, 45K. And even if you want to buy like a luxury good, you can find it like from actual Indian artisans, and it's not a print. You can actually find the bandhani craft very easily in India. So I'm just shocked. They're obviously catering to the Western audience who wants to buy clothes that look Indianish, but they don't want to like buy from India, or they don't have access to brands like that. So I think this is sort of a big gap that luxury brands are trying to fulfill in the worst way possible. But I think do couple of brands are localizing in a way, and especially around like festivals are big in India. Like Diwali is a huge season. Almost every major brand does some sort of like Diwali capsule collection, like probably with like some limited edition collection. To be honest, most of them are pretty tacky. It's just very massy. It's catered to like a very specific kind of mature old money audience. But it's such an important season for them, because retail data shows that around 25% of annual gift sales can happen during Diwali. Like Diwali is the biggest season in India, so for brands it's a very high intent shopping moment. And this is where things can also go wrong, because Indian consumers are very quick to recognize when something feels superficial, like I said with the whole Prada Kolhapuri scandal. So I think how you're approaching even like a seasonal campaign is very important. I think what brands are like really learning, that referencing and copying is not enough. You need to be collaborating, and there needs to be an acknowledgement of some kind. I mean, that's acknowledgement is the bare minimum. And now let's talk about like more on the shift towards craft and local production. And this ties into the bigger shift happening behind the scenes. A lot of luxury craftsmanship already comes from India. Like we have embroidery, textiles, handwork, embellishments, and it's just not always been visible, unfortunately. Now it is. Like Dior often credits is Mumbai Atelier and Chanakya School of Craft for its collections. There are also like reports of Kering setting up embroidery centers in India. This is partly about cost and efficiency, but it's also about transparency. Consumers are asking more questions, I think, where the products come from. And I do think it's good that brands are doing that. But I do feel it's also just a way for them to get like cheaper labor, because of course labor in India is cheaper. India is like filled with amazing craftsmanship and artisans. So I don't know how. I hope there's no exploitation, but I think this is something that's definitely happening. Another big piece in India is like celebrity and social influence, which is directly tied to visibility. India is a very Bollywood and celebrity focused country. Luxury in India is about who's wearing it and how it's being seen. It's still like a lot about status, and that's why brands are investing in like cool Indian ambassadors. Ananya Pandey is Chanel's Indian ambassador. Priyanka is the ambassador for one of the biggest jewelry brands. Is it Bulgari or Chopard? I think Bulgari. She also is the ambassador of a new car brand, like one of the biggest luxury car brands. I can't even remember the name, but like yeah, definitely. And Alia for Gucci is happening. So I mean, like big Indian names are being attached to luxury brands right now, and influencers also do play a role in that. I think some influencers have definitely played a role in how luxury sort of reaches the Indian masses. But I think that role is sort of on the pause right now. I don't really see that happening as much as it used to. I think when fashion influencers were new, it used to happen more. And then there's social media. India has around 450 million social media users. That's insane. Now that's so much more than some countries' population. And platforms like WhatsApp and Instagram are heavily integrated to the shopping behavior. So luxury brands are not just using these platforms for marketing, but for actual like sales and consumer engagement. Now, what all this means is when you put together all of this together, the picture becomes much more clearer. India is not just another growing market for luxury, it's a market that's sort of forcing brands how to rethink how they operate and how they sort of reach their consumer in this market, because the consumer is here. The consumer is aware, they're digitally active, they're very culturally rooted, thankfully, and they're very quick to respond. I mean, they won't wait they won't give you a chance. So brands like really cannot just copy paste their global strategy. They have to adapt. I think most brands, even if not luxury brands, have often struggled to sort of enter. India has been a difficult market to like really capture for global brands. Even like in the 90s, McDonald's, KFC, Kellogg's, everyone struggled to enter. And then like really they had to find their niche, they had to find their feet, they have to adapt in almost everything from design, communication, retail, production. And right now none of the luxury brands are getting it right, I feel. But one thing is very clear: India is not a passive market anymore. It's a very active market, and the relationship between consumer and luxury brands are definitely changing. I think luxury brands held all the cards up until now, but I do think the consumer does have more say in how they want the brand to behave, because of course consumer has the money and brand is going to listen to who has the money. But I think this is a very interesting moment to watch, and I think the next 3 4 years are going to be very interesting to see where this luxury market in India goes and how brands adapt to it. Hopefully they'll do it in a culturally sensitive and just a more respectful and a more nicer way. But I mean, I can only hope. And I mean, yeah, that's this conversation was in my mind for so long, because everywhere I see is like Indian culture is being stolen, my culture is not your costume. I'm seeing all those things, but I just sort of wanted to sort of just go through everything once and sort of talk about other angles that are associated with like India becoming a more prominent name luxury. So yeah, that was about it. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked and learned something, hopefully. And I do want to cover more topics like this, maybe more something around business and marketing and just global brands and how they're doing. So do let me know if you have any specific topics in mind. I really need that. And do sort of check out my Instagram. I'm definitely more active on there. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye.